A vulnerability hangover is a deeply relatable experience that arises after we've dared to share a piece of our authentic selves with another person. This isn't a medical or clinical term, but rather a widely recognized concept coined by the renowned researcher and storyteller Dr. Brené Brown in her groundbreaking work on shame, courage, and vulnerability. Dr. Brown describes a vulnerability hangover as the emotional and mental aftermath of having exposed oneself significantly, akin to the unsettling feeling after overindulgence. It's the moment when the immediate courage of disclosure gives way to a wave of self-doubt, anxiety, and sometimes even regret about having opened up. What is a vulnerability hangover? Imagine the morning after a significant emotional disclosure. Instead of a clear head, you're experiencing a muddled mix of uncomfortable psychological sensations. These can include regret and self-doubt, a gnawing feeling that you've said too much, revealed something too personal, or crossed an invisible line. You might replay the conversation, wishing you could retract your words. Anxiety and worry, intense concern about how your vulnerability will be perceived. Will you be judged? Will the information be used against you? Has this changed the relationship in a negative way? Embarrassment or shame, a profound sense of discomfort or mortification. Even if the person you shared with was entirely supportive, this can stem from ingrained beliefs that vulnerability is a weakness. Feeling exposed and raw, a sensation of being emotionally naked with heightened sensitivity to the world around you, as if your emotional skin has been peeled back. Emotional fatigue, the act of being vulnerable, is emotionally taxing, leaving you feeling drained and depleted. Intrusive thoughts, repetitive rumination about the shared content, analyzing every word you said and every nuance of the other person's reaction. Social withdrawal, a desire to retreat, to hide away and avoid further social interaction, perhaps to recover or to prevent future exposure. In essence, it's the psychological echo of a brave act, leaving you feeling emotionally queasy and unsettled. What causes a vulnerability hangover? The roots of a vulnerability hangover are varied and often intertwine with individual history, personality, and the specific context of the disclosure. Fear of judgment. At its core, vulnerability exposes us to the possibility of judgment. Our deepest fear might be that if others truly see us, they won't accept us, and this fear fuels the post-disclosure anxiety. Perceived loss of control. Sharing intimate details can feel like giving away a part of ourselves, over which we no longer have complete control. The hangover is the discomfort of this perceived surrender. Breaching personal boundaries. Sometimes, in a moment of connection, we might share more than we intended, or more than is appropriate for the given relationship or setting. The hangover is the feeling of having overstepped our own comfort zone. Insecurity and low self-worth. Individuals with lower self-esteem are often more susceptible to vulnerability hangovers because they tend to internalize negative reactions, real or imagined, more deeply, and struggle to believe they are worthy of connection despite their imperfections. Lack of reciprocity. If you share openly and the other person offers no equivalent emotional disclosure or empathetic response, it can leave you feeling exposed and out of balance, intensifying the hangover. Past negative experiences. For those who have been hurt or betrayed after being vulnerable in the past, opening up can trigger old anxieties and lead to a more intense and prolonged hangover. Social conditioning. Many societal norms and upbringings teach us to be stoic, to keep our emotions private, and to present a strong, unblemished front. Going against these ingrained messages, even for personal growth, can create internal conflict. Mismatch in intimacy levels. Sharing deeply personal information with someone who is not yet at a corresponding level of trust or intimacy can create an uncomfortable imbalance for the person who has been vulnerable. Overthinking and rumination. After a vulnerable moment, the mind can become caught in a loop of analyzing the interaction, replaying it endlessly, and spiraling into negative self-talk. How to treat a vulnerability hangover. Healing from a vulnerability hangover is less about a quick fix and more about cultivating self-compassion, resilience, and discernment. Embrace self-compassion. Acknowledge your feelings without judgment. Tell yourself, it's okay to feel this way. This is a natural reaction to being brave. Speak to yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend who just took a significant emotional risk. Remind yourself of the courage it took to be vulnerable. This was an act of strength, not weakness. Reframe the experience. Focus on your intention. What was the purpose behind your vulnerability? Was it to connect, to be authentic, to seek support, or to build trust? Hold on to that positive intention. View it as an opportunity for growth. Each act of vulnerability, regardless of the immediate aftermath, teaches you something valuable about yourself and your relationships. Actively challenge negative thoughts. When your inner critic whispers, "You shouldn't have said that," or "They're judging you," question the evidence. Is this a fact or an assumption? Practice grounding techniques. Engage in mindfulness exercises to bring your attention back to the present moment. Focus on your breath, the sensations in your body, or the sights and sounds around you to interrupt cycles of rumination. Incorporate gentle physical activity like walking, stretching, or yoga to release nervous energy and improve your mood. Spend time in nature. Connecting with the natural world can be incredibly calming and help put your emotional state into perspective. Seek reassurance with caution. If you have a truly trusted relationship with the person you were vulnerable with, a brief, gentle check-in might be helpful. Something like, "I felt a bit exposed after our conversation and just wanted to ensure everything was okay on your end." Be prepared for their response and understand they cannot fix your feelings. Confide in another trusted friend or confidant about the hangover itself. Sometimes, simply articulating the discomfort can lessen its grip. Set boundaries for future vulnerability. Reflect on what specifically triggered this particular hangover. Was it the person, the context, the amount of disclosure, or the timing? This reflection can inform future choices. Practice vulnerability muscle building by starting with smaller, lower-stakes disclosures to test the waters and observe reactions before sharing more deeply. Be discerning about your audience. Not everyone has earned the right to hear your deepest truths. Engage in self-soothing activities. Indulge in comforting rituals, reading, listening to calming music, taking a warm bath, or engaging in a cherished hobby. Prioritize physical well-being. Ensure you are eating nourishing foods, staying hydrated, and getting adequate rest, as emotional stress can deplete your physical resources. Consider professional support. If vulnerability hangovers are a persistent and debilitating experience, or if they seem connected to deeper issues like anxiety, trauma, or chronic low self-esteem, seeking guidance from a therapist or counselor